Fellow members and guests, my name is Andrew and I was born in Australia in 1989. One younger brother named William. As a kid, I was interested in what was the origin of my name, so I asked my parents where it came from, and they said they got the idea from the Princes of England. So they named me after Prince Andrew and my brother after Prince William. My first experience of primary school was back in 1995. The only language I knew how to speak at that time was Chinese. So I couldn't understand a single thing my teachers and fellow students spoke. So gradually I learned English by seeing my ABCs, the Itsy Bitsy Spider, and also watching plenty of TV like Banana in Pajamas and Playsport. Yeah. So while watching lots of TV in kindergarten, I wore my first spectacles, and they were about the size of my half my face, which was pretty cool. And another thing that contributed to my bad vision was my old computer back then, which ran on Windows 95. On the computer, it had internet, so that was pretty awesome. So I downloaded plenty of games and watched plenty of movies. And I remember back then that internet was very slow, so it took about a few hours just to download a few megabytes. And if you think about it, if you want to download a movie that's 1 gigabyte, that will take about 3,000 hours. Something like that, I can't remember. So another thing that the internet was quite slow and technology was still advancing. And one of the things I remember was the mobile phone. The mobile phones back then were black and white, and also they were on the plus side, they had a very long battery life that lasted for an entire week. And no matter how many times you dropped it, it wouldn't break, which is the plus side. As a kid, I was inspired to become a chef because my dad is a chef, and I looked up to him as a role model. And one day I told him, I'd like to become like you. And then he told me, being a chef is a very tough job because there's a lot of long hours involved, and also there's not much holidays because during holidays is the time when you need to work because that's when you gain the most money. And he told me instead, why don't you become a doctor? Before you knew it, I finished year 6, and sadly I had to say goodbye to all my primary school friends. And then my teenage years began in 2002. On the plus side, I met lots of new people and met many new friends. In 2002, the technology was evolving. The computers were faster, internet increased in speed by 20-fold, and also mobile phones started to break, which was a pity. Also, my body was changing at the time. In year 7, I got a lot rounder, and afterwards growth spurt came out, and I shut up and became a lot taller and fitter. And hair started growing in places I'd never seen before. As a teenager, life was awesome, and I was playing lots of games with my friends. And I had lots of free time, and there was absolutely no stress at all. It wasn't until year 12 when the HSC started to sink in. I remember during that time, I was studying like crazy with my friends in the libraries. We were stressing out during exams, and also after exams, there'll be a huge amount of waiting time to get the results back, and that was quite stressful as well. And there was kids out there who were depressed without the marks as they tried to compete for rankings. However, in my group, we were very supportive of each other and watched each other's back, and we managed to survive it. As I look back, I've noticed that HSC is quite so much emphasis put into it, and there's other alternatives in life. One of the plus things that came out of year 12 is that that's the time when I got my first girlfriend, and she's still my girlfriend today, which is pretty cool. We've been together for 7 years.
Wow.
My career aspiration in year 12 was to become a scientist because my sister did a Bachelor of Science, and I wanted to be like her. However, I later learned that it was a bit hard to find a job, and she mastered in engineering, and she ended up working in Sydney Waters. So in 2007, I decided to become a civil engineer, and I took a step towards adulthood. I went to the University of Sydney Technology to do my 5 years degree, and through that time, I planned out my life. I've decided to I thought about the expenses that I've incurred and also some expenses that I need to cover to take my girlfriend out. So I decided to work part-time while I studied full-time. And throughout this time, I remember there's many days where I had 5 hours of sleep. And eventually it took a toll on my body, and I ended up sleeping in trains, lectures, and I just slept whenever I got the chance to sleep, to sit down. On the work side of things, my current job is at TBH, which is a project consultancy company. I've been working there for 2.5 years, and I've learned that education doesn't teach you everything, and there are soft skills that you can learn on the job. These include managing your time and also working under pressure. One of the biggest lessons I learned at TBH is that there was a time that I took a trip to Queensland without taking any leave and giving any notice to my boss, and this was a very bad move because at that point I almost lost my job, which was very stressful. But thank God that I had some close friends who were a bit higher than me, so they managed to put in a few words, and I managed to survive, which was pretty good. There's also one picture that I wanted to show you guys today. Sorry about that. In 2012, I managed to survive all my exams. I ended up graduating.
Oh, gosh.
And this is what I came out. So what now from here on? In the future, I plan to marry my girlfriend. I plan to buy a house, which would be a pretty big step. And after that, I will want to progress my career to a point where I can support a family. And in the future, if technology progressed further enough to build a time machine and can allow me to change anything in the past, in my childhood or teenage years, I would choose not to change anything at all, because it's these experiences which make me who I am.